Alright, so gonna see if I can show you guys how to make a little axolotl, or tiny axolotl. These take me about 20 minutes to work up, and they're pretty cute. What you need is a couple safety eyes with backs, like so. You're gonna need some sewing scissors, or any scissors really. I am using a 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. Gonna need any needle that can pull through your yarn. Some 5 millimeter white yarn, but you can really use any. This is for the main body. And then I am using this very pale pink yarn for the gills. It's also 5 millimeter. To start, we are going to do a magic circle. I start almost all of my amigurumi with magic circles, and they're a really good one to learn. So you're going to take the hook in your right hand, you're going to take the yarn in your left, you're going to take 2 fingers and pinch your thumb over the yarn like that, and then you're going to take the yarn with your right hand, loop it over your fingers, and cross it over that yarn. So you have your tail, you have your yarn, you flip it over. So now your working edge is over here, your tail is over here, and this is where the magic comes from, is this tail and that crossover. You're going to take your hook, use your little gap that you've made with your fingers, grab that yarn and keep just a little tension. I'm holding on to this working yarn with my ring finger and pinky finger, just to keep a little bit of tension on it. You're going to pull through, turn your hook over, and then grab the leading edge again and pull through, like so. So you now have that. Now, I like to take my fingers on my crochet hook and pinch that right there, the whole knot, so it doesn't go anywhere. And then slide it off your fingers and take your tail where it's looped back through the back. I like to take it and then slide it out for the front, just like that. That'll make the circle pull through easier, and you can see if I pull it, it makes that loop smaller. If I pull here, it makes it bigger. So I want it to be just a nice, decent little size to work with. I'm actually gonna pull a little more. Little decent size to work with. Then you're gonna pinch that, so you have that gap there between your fingers, let go, and then you have this that you can work with. So now you're going to put some single crochets into your magic circle to start your round. I'm going to put 10 in. So you go through the magic circle, grab your yarn, loop it over, hold that there, and then grab it again and loop it through. That's a single crochet right there. So again, through the magic circle, grab your working yarn, pull it up, grab it there, pull it through. Grab it, pull it through. So you're going to do that a total of 10 times. I've just done it 3, so we're going to do it for another 10. Little single crochets. And now you're going to take, I like to keep my hook in it and pinch right at the edge. You don't want to hold down here because that'll make it hard to pull. Your yarn's not going to go anywhere. So hold at the edge where those top loops are and pull this yarn. That will make that circle, as you can see, it'll make it close up. You want to pull it nice and tight. You're going to take, and you have a circle now. Magic circle. You're going to go into this first hook here, and same as you did with the magic circle, you're going to do single crochet. So you're going to loop through both those, grab your yarn, pull it out, and then grab both of them, pull it through both. That's one single crochet. This is going to make us work in a spiral. So we're going to go into this next stitch here, which is right there. Next stitch, both hoops, grab the yarn, pull it through, single crochet. Now you're going to put another one in that same hole. So where that single crochet you just put in, you're going to put another stitch in there. Like so. You go to your next stitch, 1 single crochet. Next stitch, 2 single crochet. You're going to continue like that until you get back around to the beginning. So we've done 6 so far, and we're going to do a total of 15 single crochet in this circle. 15. So now that we have our 15, we're going to go into the start of the next round. I'm going to go 1 single crochet in every single stitch, working our way around the round, putting in a total of 15 again. And that's 15. So now we're going to, in the next round, we're going to add the feet. We're going to start by doing, in the next 6 stitches, 1 single crochet. So that's 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to do a chain. Chain is where, from this loop, instead of going into here and doing a single crochet, we're just going to stay out here, grab our working edge, and pull it through there. That's 1 chain. Chain 2. Same thing. Now we're going to go, and if you look at your yarn, you'll see you have you have basically 3 little like loops that you could go through. You have 1, 2, and you have a third back here. This one back here, your little hump that goes towards the rest of the circle, you want to go into that, and we're going to do what's called a slip stitch into that. So we're going to grab the yarn, going through that 1 hump, and instead of stopping here and doing a single crochet, we're going to pull that single loop through both, like that. Pull it nice and tight, and then we're going to go down to this stitch down here that we'd originally single crocheted into before chaining. We're going to do another slip stitch, like so. And that gives us this little weird looking nubbin. That weird little looking nubbin is going to be the start of a foot. As you can see here, later those little nubbins stick out just a little bit, and there's little feetsies. You want to make sure your axolotl has feet, because that's what's going to get around. Okay. So now that we've done that, we're going to single crochet into the next stitch, and the next stitch, and the next stitch, for a total of 3 after that foot, like so. And then same as the foot that we just did, we're going to chain 2. We're going to single crochet right here into this back hump, and then we're going to single crochet into this open stitch that we just did. And that gives us another little nubbin, and then single crochet into the next open stitch. Going to do another 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we should be back at the top now. That is the start of the little legs to the body, and you can see it starting to form out now. So now we're going to go down, and we're going to do 1 full round of 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, coming to the legs, you don't want to put extra stitches in. It's very easy to accidentally put extra stitches in. You don't want to. So we've come to the end of the single crochets that are really obvious. You're going to do 1 stitch right here, right at that edge of the leg. And then we're not going to do 1 in here. You might want to, but you don't do it. It'll give you extra stitches. Your axolotl is going to throw off balance. Instead, we're going to skip over to here and put 1 stitch in here. See that? So not here. We're going to skip all the way over to here. And grab that yarn. And now make sure you push that leg out. And you can pinch it back so that you can grab your yarn as you need to and pull it through, finishing that single crochet. Pull it nice and tight. See that? You got your leg sticking out. We're going to do the other 2 in the middle of the belly. And then the same way we just did, we're going to single crochet, not into this hole. That's not where we want to go. We want to go to this hole. Push that little leg out, and boom, got another leg. And then we're going to do the final 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and now it's going to be a lot easier to continue your rounds. You're going to want to do 2 more rounds of 15. Okay, got our 2 rounds of 15. We got our legs. We've got the belly all sorted out. Now the next step is to start making the body smaller, but we want to be able to get the eyes in. So we're going to stop there so that we can put the eyes in. I like to pull just a little bit of yarn through so that that loop doesn't go anywhere and I can keep my spot more easily. You can also put a stitch marker or keep your hook in it, but I find this to be easiest for me. You're going to take your 2 safety eyes and you're going to put them in where you feel it looks cutest. Take your pick. I think right about there looks pretty cute to me for one of them. And then we're going to take the other one, we're going to stick it in right about there. And these just slide really easily in between where the folds of the stitches are. So just pick a hole, stick them in. Yeah, I think that's pretty cute. And now I'm going to take, I like to put my thumbs on it, on those eyes, and we're going to turn the whole work inside out. That way we can access the back and lock them up with these washers that they send with them. I'm just going to lock these off. Okay, those are locked off. And now we're going to turn it back right side out. You can make sure they're secure, or just give them a little tug. Make sure they're solid. And if they come out and you're having difficulties, you can always put a little glue on the back of the washers just to make sure they're extra secure, or some people melt them just a little bit with a lighter. I usually don't have any issues, and when I do, I'll add just a little bit of super glue before I turn it back inside out, but kind of makes it hard to keep working. These are secure enough for me. So now we're going to start doing reduction to make the beginning of the tail. And we're also going to throw the legs in on this round. So we're going to go 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then we're going to do a reduction stitch. So you have 2 options here. First, you can skip a stitch and just crochet into the next, like so, and that'll bring it together. Or what I like to do is, instead of doing a standard single crochet, I will loop through the next stitch as though I'm going to do one. See, 1 loop. And then I'm going to loop into the next stitch as well, with another loop. So now I've got 3 loops on my hook, and I'll pull the yarn through all 3 at the same time. And that's a little reduction stitch. That's how I like to do it. I find it works best for me. And now we're going to single crochet into the next stitch and do another reduction stitch, just like we did before. 1, 2. So once you've done 2 reductions and 2 single crochets, we're going to make another leg. So same as before, chain 2, 1, 2, then turn it so that we can get to that hump. Do a slip stitch right through there, and then slip stitch back to the main body to hold it in place, just like that. And we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 reduction, like so. Pull through both, chain 2, slip stitch to this hump, slip stitch to the body, single crochet in the next, reduction stitch, and then 1 more single crochet followed by a reduction stitch. And now you might notice you're starting to get a bit of a smaller round. So that's your round. Should be a little bit smaller now. We've just worked in 5 reduction stitches, so it should be a round size of 10 now. We're going to go around this round of 10 with just single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And remember, when you're getting to the legs, don't go into this hole. Go into the one right next to it. Okay, next. We're going to come over this side. Get this one. Remember to skip over that hole. It feels really tempting to me every time I come to it, so. 9 and 10. Okay, so that's the start of that tail. This is a good part to pause and put in some stuffing. You're going to want to understuff it ever so slightly, because when we put the gills on, these gills, and the tail frill, some of that yarn is going to wind up inside the body. And so we need some space for that yarn to go so we don't accidentally overstuff. So take some polyester stuffing, and you're just going to take off just a little bit of it and stuff it in that body. And if you work just a little bit in at a time, you can really feel how much you want to put in, and you won't get any of the weird clumps that sometimes, at least this stuff that I use, the polyester stuffing, it'll sometimes clump up in weird ways. But if you pull off just a little bit, Stuff it in slow, and you'll get what you want. I think I need just a little bit more. Okay, so that's slightly less squishy than I'm going to ultimately want this guy to be, which means that's probably a good amount because again, there's going to be yarn from the gills and the tail that's going to go inside this body. We want to make sure we leave space for it. So now we're going to do our final round, and it's going to be all reduction stitches. So loop through 2 and pull through both. 2, through 3, 4, and 5. So that's the end of the tail. Next you're going to do a slip stitch, same as we did for the legs. You're going to go into that next open stitch, grab your yarn, and instead of doing a single crochet here, we're going to take that yarn that we just looped through and pull it through that stitch there. Pull it tight, and then you're going to take your scissors, pull as much tail as you feel like you're going to need to sew that hole closed all the way. I want about this much, which is like 4 inches. Yeah, it's like 4 inches, 5 inches. Just a little bit excessive, but I like having more than I necessarily need. And we're going to pull all of that through, pull it tight, and then with your tapestry needle, you're going to sew it closed. Pro tip with needles, if you take your yarn, and don't just like lick it, try to stick it through, it'll be really hard. If you take your yarn and fold it in half, then you have this nice clean curve that you can work with. You're going to shove that through, and it comes through really easy. And then you're just going to sew it closed. I like to go through each of the open stitches in sequence. Pull it tight, and then loop through the open stitch on the other side and run that hole through that knot right there. Pull it tight again. And then you can lose that yarn inside the body. Remember, we left space for that yarn, so it's good. Slide it through. And at this point, you can either cut that tail, or I will just usually stuff it inside the body because it's easier and I have less bits of yarn lying around. And at that, you have a body. Now we just need to make the gills and the tail fin, and you're all done. So we're going to take our gill yarn. Again, I'm using this really pale pink. Here it shows up best against his body. Same thing I used on this one. And we're going to, instead of starting with the magic circle, we're going to start with a little slip knot. So you're going to take your yarn, you're going to loop it over. I like to wrap it around one finger. And then take the long end that's going towards your ball and push it through, and then grab that right there. You can see you have a slip stitch, or a slip knot. You're going to grab it and pull it tight. You want just a little bit of tail here because we're going to be working with that later when we're attaching to the body. That's about 1.5 inches of tail. So you're going to stick your hook right through that hoop and pull on it so that it's nice and tight. So then you're going to, for this, I like to have my tension finger, and then same as before, instead of holding onto the entire body, I'm just holding onto this tail so that I have something to make sure I've got my tension right. Then we're going to chain, just like we did before with the legs. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've chained 4. And the same as like we did with the legs, we're going to do slip stitches down these humps on the back. So we're going to go 1, 2, and then into the last one, 3. And we do lose one of those humps in that effort at the top of turning over. Every single time we make a chain and we go around and slip stitch down, we're losing one hump just so that we can fold it back in half. And then make sure you have about that 1.5 inches of tail on the other side. You're going to cut it, and you're just going to pull that through, like so. And that is 1 gill. Make another 5 of these so you have a total of 6, because they need their gills 3 on either side. So now I have all 6 of my gills, and we're gonna go ahead and attach them to the main body. So you're gonna take your needle again, your tapestry needle. You take one of the gills. Remember, if you fold the yarn in half, it'll make it a lot easier to put it through the eye of the needle, like so. Okay, now we're gonna go and attach them. I like to start with the middle on the side here, just to kind of give myself something to go off of. So, looking at this one, you can see I put the middle gill about 1 stitch back from where the eye is, and in line with the foot, straight up, straight back, and then the next one up, and the next one down. So we're going to start with that middle one, same as before, that we're going to go into this hole here, and out of that hole there, like that. So that'll land us right about where we want that to be in terms of being in line with that eye and the foot. I'm going to pull all the way through, and then we can lose that needle for now. Then you're going to take your 2 tails, and you're going to do a square stitch. So you're going to take your right and your left. You're going to take your right, put it over the left, and then through that hole, and pull it tight, like so. And then once you've done that, you're going to then take the left and the right. You're going to take the left and put it over the right and through the hole and pull it tight. And that's essentially, at the base of the knot, I'll show you on the next skill, it is making a square, hence square knot. And that is going to make sure that gill is nice and secure on there. So now you can take your needle, put it through the body like I've just done, take your 2 tails, and we're going to lose this yarn inside the body, like so, if you'll let me. Sometimes you have to kind of coax the yarn to come through. Then once you have it, give that gill a little tug to make sure it sits where you want it, maybe squish the body, see if you like where it's at. I think that I can still keep putting more yarn inside of it, so I'm going to lose the tails all the way inside the body by just using the back of the needle and shoving it in that hole. And that's 1 gill. So we're going to do the next one, same as before. Grab it through the needle, take it, and we want to make sure all these are in line with each other. So this hole that I came out of originally, on this gill, I'm going to go into that same hole, like so, and then up through the top of the next one. Pull it through, lose the needle for now, and then square knot. I'll do this one a little bit loose at first so you can see what's happening. So remember, right over left through the hole, and then you have your start of your knot, and then you'll take it once it's down closer to the base. To finish it, you're going to take the left over the right and through that hole. As you can see, as I pull it through, that looks like a square. And that's how you know you've done it right. If you've done it wrong, you'll get what's called a granny knot. So I'll undo that ever so slightly so I can show you the wrong way to do it. Instead of taking, for the second bit, the left over the right, if I did the left behind the right and then through the hole, you'll wind up with something that really wants to twist over on itself. I could try to hold it in place, but it just isn't a clean knot, and you can tell that it's not clean because it's not going where you want it to go. The loops aren't going the right way, and this will probably hold your gill on just fine, but the square knot is much more secure. I'm going to finish tying that on the right way and lose my yarn, and we're going to continue to attach the gills, and then I will explain how to do the tail fin. I've just attached all of the gills, which means it is time to finish it out with the tail. So you're going to take your yarn that you want to use for your tail. So we're going to take this yarn, same the way that we did with all of the little gills. You're going to start with a slip stitch or a slip knot, like so. Stick your crochet hook through the hole, pull it tight, and then we're going to go down the body. You want to make sure it's in line with the center of the body, and you're going to find an area that's about 2 stitches away from the tip. So I'm going to go right here. That's in the center, up through that next hole. We're going to take this yarn and run it so that it's going that way, down towards the tail. I'm going to grab it, pull it up, and do a single crochet. Just to attach it. I'm going to leave that tail there for a second. And we're going to go into the next stitch, another single crochet. So. And then we're going to do a half double crochet in United States terms. So what we're going to start to do is we're going to start by looping the yarn over, and then I like to put a finger on it just to keep it where I want it to be, and then loop into the tail and then out through that end of the hole, that right at the tip of the tail. Then you're going to grab some yarn, pull it through, have it right there. At this point you should have 3 hoops over your hook. And you're going to take that yarn and pull it through all 3 at the same time. And that's just going to make a slightly bigger area of the tail right there. We're going to grab it again. Same loop that we just did for that last half double crochet. Grab that yarn, pull through all 3, like so. Loop over, and then we're going to go into the next stitch along. So we're going to start working our way towards the belly. Right at the tip, but on the opposite end, through that hole. Grab that yarn, pull through all 3. Then we're going to put 1 more in that hole that we just did. Like so. And having the 2 in those areas will help to make that turn over the corner a little bit cleaner. It comes out a little bit tight and makes your tail like sit flat against the body if it's not there. So we got those 4, 1, 1, there we go. Okay, now we're going to go into this next stitch here. Instead of doing a half double crochet, we're going to do another single crochet. So same as before. Gonna loop into that area, grab the yarn, pull it up, loop through both, like so. And then 1 single crochet right at the end here. Not a single crochet, sorry. We're going to do a slip stitch. So instead of crochet here, we're going to grab that loop that we just pulled through and pull it through the end to lay it flat up against the body. Take and cut that yarn. You don't need very much, just enough to seal it off with. And then pull that single crochet through all the way. And that makes a pretty tight bond already, but if you want to make it just a little bit more secure, where this loop is starting to lift off, you can take your hook and go through that hole, and then take your tail, wrap it around your hook, and then pull it through sideways, like so. So, sideways. And then you can just pull that tight. And that'll just make for a slightly more secure end to your tail. Now we're going to take these 2 tails and we're just going to use our tapestry needle to hide them inside the body. One, or the other one. And that's 2. Now if you want to make sure that all of your yarn is hidden away inside, you can give it some good squeezes on areas where it's sticking out, and it should just pop away. Or you can use a stuffing needle, or again this needle, to make sure it's all good. And you have made a little axolotl. Look at you go. So I like these, they work up really fast, and I will be working on making more tutorial videos soon. Thanks!